All right, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm going to, this is April 9th, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting of the Regional Mobility Authority Board of Directors to order. It is 9:02 a.m. Mountain Time. Can I have a roll call, please, Raymond?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Ortega?
Present.
Mr. Palacios?
Here.
And Mr. McElroy?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. And Leah is not here, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Leah Master, she reported absence. Okay, thank you.
Well, sorry, just to be clear, I didn't hear from her, so I'm not sure if she's going to be late.
No, she had sent me a message last night that she would not be there. I thought she might be able to get on via Teams. She had a family issue, so I assume she's just not going to be here at all then.
I see. Thank you.
I thought you were copied, so my apologies. So I want to welcome the new board members. But before we do that, are any of the board members whose terms were up and not reappointed present today?
You know, we actually have two of them, but two are still on their way. Would it be okay to skip this item for a minute or two?
Certainly. If others are coming, that's great.
Thank you.
So then I'll move to item number 3, introduction of our new board members. Since I'm remote, and I want to apologize for that, I'll be back in the middle of May and then get back to normal business. But I want to personally welcome the 3 of you. I look forward to working with you. And Raymond, could you do the formal introductions, please?
Certainly. Actually, I thought we would maybe ask them to say a little bit about themselves and as part of their introduction. So, Ms. Ortega, if we could ask you to speak to the group for us.
Good morning, and it's wonderful to be here. I've always known...
I can't hear her. Is the mic on?
All right, sorry. Good morning. It's great to be here. I've known much about the RMA since I have served on the MPO for many years and have served over as a elected official on the state side. I stepped back in January of this year. I've been a practicing attorney in this community for many years before running for public service, and transportation has always been a main interest for me on the state level and prior to that. So I'm really looking forward to being here and to getting really involved with the RMA. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Palacios.
Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Palacios. I recently relocated back to El Paso to start my own real estate development firm. Prior to that, I was in Chicago for several years working for a major real estate development firm there. And earlier in my career, I was here in El Paso with the Borderplex Alliance. I'm really excited to be on the RMA board. I'm familiar with the work that this organization does, and I'm very honored to be a part of this group and to use to the best of my ability to move this city forward.
Thank you. Mr. McElroy.
Matthew McElroy. Haven't been in this building in like 10 years, so that part was interesting walking in. But I used to work at the city years ago. That was for a while, it was the assistant director for planning, and then I became the director of the city development department, and then went from there to Bridges, then went from there to a company called GCC that did construction materials, and left there and the COO for a holding company now. But have always had an interest in transportation, so and the stuff that makes El Paso better. So I'm looking forward to working with the board and working with Ray and Robert.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Ms. Wilson, we did provide orientation briefings to each of the new members the last few days, so they're on board now and ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm excited to work with the 3 of you in this capacity. I've known 2 of you fairly closely for many, many years in different capacities, and I know you're going to bring a lot of expertise to the table, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you, Mr. Palacios, and work more closely with you in this endeavor as well. There are a lot of things going on. There are a lot of exciting opportunities. I think there's also going to be a great deal of uncertainty with changes at the federal level as they relate to transportation. So I do believe that each of you will bring a lot to the table in terms of your expertise and contacts and networks that maybe can help us navigate some of these challenges. So thank you very much. Raymond, when I did the first agenda call to order, I didn't ask if there are any public comments. Are there?
Yes, ma'am, I do believe we have one signed up for item 8D, which
Does he want to wait for that? Is he going to wait for that item?
we can ask him. Mr. Joe?
Would you ask him? Because
Are
if he,
Yeah, apologize. Are you okay waiting for the item, or would you like that item moved up? No, I can wait, that's fine. He's okay waiting, ma'am?
okay, perfect. It's not a long agenda, so I just wanted to be sure. All right, thank you. And so now, and keep me apprised when the outgoing members all arrive so we can stop and go back to that item, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, moving on. Item 4 is discussion and action on the election of RMA officers. And we need to elect a vice chair, treasurer, and secretary, and an alternate secretary. We have an unusual situation here where we've had a major kind of turnover on the board at a level that we've probably not had in recent years. And so aside from myself, we have 2 other what I call tenured members, one of whom I think has only been here a year, the other I think finishing the 2nd year of her term. And so what I'd like to propose is appointing Monica Perez vice chair and Leah Masters as treasurer, just so that we have some continuity in terms of kind of short-term history and background. And because we make these appointments annually, and then we can always adjust every year as the other people get more situated. So if there's no objection to that, I'd like to make that motion, put that motion on the floor.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call for the question. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. In terms of secretary, Raymond, would you explain to the new members what the function of the secretary basically is? Give them a chance to think about it. We may be able to hold off on appointing that today and wait till the next meeting. Unless someone says they'd like to just step in, that would be fine. But before we do that, would you just discuss that with them briefly?
Certainly. The secretary, the primary duties of the secretary are to execute and attest documents of the agency. So that means each of the resolutions that are executed by the chair are then attested to by the secretary, including the minutes and the like. So those are the primary duties. So it's really helpful to have somebody that's available to us whenever we need to go by and get some signatures. I will tell you, historically, we have used Robert Studer as the alternate secretary, which tends to work out in the event that the secretary is not available. He's always available, and so I would ask that you all consider making Mr. Studer the alternate secretary again, and in the event you want to push the secretary item off, at least we have somebody that we could utilize in the interim.
Thank you. So is anyone willing just to step up today and agree to serve in that function? If you want to think about it, I'm happy to table that, and we can just move to appointing Robert as assistant secretary. I haven't heard anything.
I'm happy to do it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Ortega. So then with that, I'll move to appoint Ms. Ortega as the board secretary and Robert Studer as the assistant or alternate secretary.
So moved. Oh, second.
And I have a second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get those in order now, because we were a little uncertain about that. So I'm going to move on to the next item, adoption of the minutes for the RMA board meeting of March 12th, 2025. I know only one of you there beside myself were present for that meeting, but, and if you're not comfortable making a second, I will if Monica will move to approve.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion. I'll make the second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The other thing that we need to do that's really not on the agenda, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on the agenda or done today, is that we have two committees that are functioning committees of the board. One is finance and one is planning. And so I'd like the three of you to think about your areas of interest and focus. So Matthew, I'd like to ask you if you'd be willing to chair the planning committee, if your time will permit. Typically, it doesn't necessarily meet every month, but we do like to have at least a quarterly meeting, maybe initially maybe a little bit more for everybody to get more familiar. But if you're willing to do that, I'd appreciate it. As the treasurer, Leah Masters would automatically serve as the chair of the finance committee.
Be happy to.
Okay, thanks so much. So we'll finalize that at the next meeting then, but thanks a lot. And then Robert and Lena, if you think about the committees you'd be most interested in, I'd appreciate it, and then we can finalize the assignments at the next meeting. And then moving on to item 6, discussion and action on the following reports for the second quarter of the fiscal year. A, the interim financial, B, investment, C, El Paso Bike Share Program, and D, general engineering consultant team's use of local resources.
Real quick, Robert, we do have 3 of the former board members. We are waiting on one more who had a dentist appointment, so, but several of these folks have to leave before 9:30. So, Robert, if I could have you
Why
start
don't we go
off.
ahead and do this? Why don't we acknowledge them now
Okay,
and thank them for their service? And I'm going to let you take the lead on that since I'm not there physically. And then if the fourth one does make it, we can stop the meeting and address it at that point.
sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
All right, item 2, recognition of former board members James L. Jim Smith, Dorothy M. Sissy Bird, Sylvester Reyes, and Laura M. Enriquez.
All right, morning, everyone. Raymond Theus, Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. So as read into the record, we are here to recognize our current, or our former board members that have provided so much support and help to our organization over the last few years. So if we could start with Mr. Reyes. Mr. Reyes was appointed in 2021. He served on the planning committee and was a big member of the Borderland Coalition, the Borderland Expressway Coalition, which, as we all know, is now under construction. So a big help to that organization. So I specifically want to thank him for his legislative experience and the knowledge that he's given us and the time that he's shared with us to help us advance this agency. So thank you very much for coming. We have a little something for you as well. Say a few words.
Well, I just want to thank everybody associated and affiliated with RMA, especially the patience of all of these individuals behind me, because they come to our meetings and then we disappear into, what is that thing called? An executive something or other. It was my favorite part of every meeting, but I appreciate especially these 2 gentlemen here who are awesome. I'm not in the business of giving advice, but if I were to depend on them, they are professionals. They'll always tell it to you straight, and we couldn't function, at least my opinion, couldn't function without them. So thank you. Madam Chair, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to have served this great community and this great region. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Sylvester. It was a pleasure and a privilege to work with you.
Ms. Bird, We've got you next. Ms. Bird was appointed in 2021 as well. She initially served as the secretary. At one point, she was holding the positions of secretary and treasurer at the same time. She's also been the chair of the finance committee for quite some time. So with her, she's always available. She's always interested, and we want to thank her specifically for her insight into Fort Bliss and all of the activities that we've tried to coordinate with them, and also for always being there for us and being so supportive of this staff as we try to move this agency forward. So thank you for that, and we have a little something for you as well. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. I truly enjoyed being on this board. I have met some fantastic people. Robert and Raymond, you know, they are truly, truly outstanding. And those who are taking our place, I hope you do well and engage like we did. And like I said, I have been the chair for the finance committee. We always met our meetings, even extras. So therefore, I would like to say thank you so much. I've met some great people on this committee, and I just love Robert and Raymond and Jim and Sylvester. It's been truly a blessing. Thank you, Joyce, for always talking to us, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sissy.
Mr. Smith, you're next. Mr. Smith is one of the longest-serving members that this organization has ever had, over 7 years. He was initially appointed back in September of 2017. He has served as vice chair for quite some time, and also as the chair of the planning committee. He chaired the Borderland Expressway Coalition for a number of years, and as I just mentioned earlier, that project is finally coming to fruition, and a lot of that has to do with Mr. Smith. So thank you for everything that you've done, and specifically thank you for being available to us, to Robert and myself, and being so supportive of our organization as well. We have a little plaque for you as well, and thank you for everything.
Okay, I am going to pretty much ditto what the previous two said. Two very dear friends, by the way. And my brother Silver and Sissy, who has always had my left flank there for a lot. And Joyce, thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure linking back up with you for all these years doing this. And like the other two that spoke, I'm going to run my next function I'm going to do is a community service. I'm going to start a Robert and Raymond fan club. And I'm going to run for president, so I may get some competition for that. But so I've been around more than a couple years, and this has been the intentional last major board I've served on, and it's been a very, very distinct pleasure. It's an important group, very, very important function, tons and tons of potential, and we've realized that potential in some arenas, but there's a lot more potential out there, and I see the new members. I think they can help forge that ahead as time goes on. So it's been an honor and a privilege to serve, and this is an amazing community and the region. And I might add that through this process and getting to know our partners in New Mexico, and what a pleasure it was working with all of them. And I hope that can go forward more formally with this board, more like it did with the coalition. But thank you to the Peanut Gallery. You guys are amazing. You're always here, and it's been a really, really big pleasure working with you. So that's it. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Jim. It's been an honor and privilege.
That's all we have for this item. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you all. I'm saying, can we go back to item 6? I've already read it into the record. Raymond, is Robert going to take the lead on these?
Yes, ma'am. This is Robert Studer for the record. I'll take the lead. We did review the reports as is customary. We only had one member of the Finance Committee, committee of one, to review yesterday, but we did go through them in depth. I thought I would hit some high notes for the new members so they have some familiarity.
Yeah, that would be helpful if you would.
I'll scare them off from wanting to join the Finance Committee. So these are preliminary and unaudited interim financial statements provided by the City of El Paso. So we don't adjust the numbers they give us. There's some mapping issues, but for the most part, they're in good shape. So this is our statement of net position. Just a couple of points I'd like to hit. We at the end of the second quarter, we had no treasury investments at the time. And our cash position is actually up a little bit. We received $8 million, which is the first tranche from Texas Parks and Wildlife as we started construction on the Weiler project in early February. So they gave us $8 million, and we have a schedule with them where we'll draw down additional funds when we hit 40% and then at 75%, so that we can keep that project moving. We did receive the second invoice, and through 2 invoices, I think we're going to spend $3.5–4 million. So it is moving very quickly on that project, but that's the main reason our cash position is up. Next thing I'd like to point out is this item right here. It's $3.5 million, and it is related to the Border Highway West termination agreement. The board actually voted to work with TxDOT on the removal of this, and so that will improve our bottom line by $3.5 million once that comes off. The board authorized the executive director to execute that agreement. There's a companion agreement that is still being worked on, and it relates to some debt that goes back to 2009 related to a toll plan, and we're working to get both of those removed at the same time, and the overall improvement to our bottom line will be $4 million that we no longer owe TxDOT. So that's a good thing, but it's not shown on the balance sheet yet. Yeah. Sorry, there we go, I'll use this screen. Next slide is statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. So it's showing our revenues and expenses, and let me make that larger for you again. Our activity tends to be a little bit delayed, and so we often have 2 or 3 months that we are behind in recording activity that is taking place. It can take some time for us to receive invoices, and so we tend to look at 50% through the year. We will not have 50% of our activity recorded by any stretch. I would point out that we typically, I think we talked about it in each of your briefings, we hold the debt for the VRF, but we don't have the projects as assets. So we build projects for partners, Horizon, Socorro, TxDOT. They are the ones that are recording those expenses on their books as capital assets. We do not. The only case that we do is we've acquired some right-of-way on a few projects, and so that is, sorry, that's on the last slide, I'm sorry. But you'll see here what that looks like is we have this huge expense each year, intergovernmental transfer of assets. That is us showing it as an expense. Those partner agencies are picking it up on their balance sheet as a capital asset. And so that's, I think that's the big item I would note here. This next page is a breakout of that prior sheet, but across different fund types that we have. I don't have any big notes. I think the most important thing for you all coming up, though, is the next slide, which is the organization's operating budget. Not any of the project budgets, just the operations, the organization's operating budget. And that top section is our revenues, and the bottom section is our expenses. We are doing very well with interest investment revenue and project admin fees. We do anticipate collecting some more. We've got one big project, John Hayes Phase 1. If it concludes this year, this fiscal year, then we could see a very large fee. Otherwise, we'll get it next year. But we typically, we've never finished over budget. We are consistently under budget, and this is something that the Finance Committee will pick up at its next meetings in July and August. All right, so are there any questions on this one? Any of those? So next is our investment report. Kind of restates what we showed on the last slide. We made about $600,000 for the organization over the first 6 months of the year. That's good news for us. Rates are being held steady after a cut in the past year. Who knows what's going to happen with the action of the last week at the federal level and what that looks like, but we'll continue to monitor that. And then we've got some some graphs behind that show the detail, but there's nothing of too much import that I wanted to go through that with you. We do have to follow the Public Funds Investment Act. I took training on that last month, and this is in compliance with that, and we'll spend more time on this if you join the Finance Committee. After that, we've got an update on our bike share program. We had 7% increases over our ridership and revenue the same quarter last year. Our second quarter is December, January, and February. On January 1st, we transitioned to app-only checkout, so you can no longer walk up to a kiosk and put in a credit card and use the screen there. It's app-only from now on. We've not observed any negative effects related to that. And we expanded our footprint. We've primarily been downtown and UTEP since the establishment of the program. December of 23, we put a station at Escarte Park. It has grown 69% since when we first launched it in Q2 of 2024, so that's exciting to see. Graph showing the increase in ridership from prior years, and the same with revenue. And then we're working to put hopefully a station out on the West Side Trail at the River and Country Club, and it would be really nice if we could get that. We also deployed 36 e-bikes that we got through a grant. We paid a 20% match, but it was a nice way to upgrade our fleet to e-bikes, which people ride longer and more frequently. And then we got 37 new bikes that are being assembled and decals slapped on those, and we'll launch those into the field later this month, pulling out some of the red bikes from the fleet. And so that's exciting because we're upgrading our fleet at a fraction of the actual cost. Any questions on the bike share? My last report for you is general engineering consultant team use of local resources. This is actually Atkins data that they provide to us. And prior boards have shown an interest in making sure what it looks like from a local and non-local labor perspective. Now, we can't use a local preference in our bidding, but we do want to hopefully see money, if we can, stay in the area. When we have a spike in non-local labor, it is usually related to a really unique project. On this, let me actually jump ahead one, I'm sorry. The purple bar on this one is non-local labor, and if you can see, I apologize that Camino Real at the bottom is blocking it, but where the purple bar is really high is 2012, 2013, 2014, really design of the streetcar project. And then if you look out to the right, in 22 and 23, we see another spike in the purple bar. That's the Weiler project. Again, that is expertise that we may not have in El Paso. It's the only tram in the state, so that gets done elsewhere. The yellow bar is local labor, and you'll see that had a spike in 2016, 2017 through 2020. We were in a very big construction phase as we pursued the VRF program. As that program mostly wound down, we started doing a lot of design projects with the county and other entities. Those projects are now starting to get ready to let. Mr. Tejas will show that to you. But that local share is going to go up because there's a lot of oversight on those projects when they're in the construction phase. And so you'll probably see that going forward as well. But the orange line, I would just point out the difference or the split between them has mostly leveled off at about 70% local. And we've got 16 years of data. It's going to be hard to move that around just due to the denominator effect. And this is a breakout by the different firms that Atkins has used over time. But that's the update. And like I said, we spend more time with them at the Finance Committee, but just a couple quick notes for you all. Oh, could I get a motion to accept the reports, actually?
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, thank you. Then the next is presentation, discussion, and action on change orders recently approved by the Executive Director. We're seeking approval by the board for the Fabens Airport Hangar and John Hayes Street Extension Program. Raymond?
Thank you. We do have a PowerPoint for you, and I'll run through this fairly quickly. And you actually received an email from me over the last few days on one of these as well. So by way of background, there was a board resolution that was executed back in 2018, which granted authorization to the executive director to approve change orders up to $100,000. For those change orders that are under $50,000, I can execute those as long as I bring them back to the board for for informational purposes. Any change orders over 50 and under 100,000, I can still authorize those, but I need to send you notification when those change orders are executed and then bring them back to the board. So that's why you got the notice of change order on, I believe it was Monday. Anyhow, so with that in mind, we do have 2 change orders to discuss today. One was approved by me, and another one is over the $100,000 threshold, and it requires your action. The first one that was approved relates to the Fabens Airport hangar expansion project. This is a partnership that we have with El Paso County where we are helping to expand their Fabens Airport. We are specifically adding 3 new box hangars to their facility right now. The first one, and this relates to their relationship with UTEP and expanding the facility as a research opportunity. So that first hangar actually has classrooms included. So we're really excited to be part of this partnership. These are the prior, and all of this is part of your backup. So I'm going to breeze through this, but I'm happy to slow down if you have any questions along the way. These are prior change orders that have been executed to date. And what we're talking about today is number 12. This is the one where I sent you information about it on Monday after it was executed. We are providing electrical power to a septic tank that was not included in the original plan. So that was in the amount of just over $65,000. So no action required on this one. This is for informational purposes only. You will see the important figure there is 3.44. That's the total change order percentage to date, which is well within what we're shooting for. Oh, incidentally, I should also note, as we are partnering with the county on this, the county is funding this project. So in the event that we ever have any change orders on a partnered project like this, we require review and approval in writing by the county before we execute anything, because they are the funding agency. So we have received those approvals as well. So that takes us to John Hayes then. This was referenced by Mr. Studer earlier. This is a project, and we'll touch on phase 2 here in a later item, but this is a project that essentially runs from Pelicano up to Montwood. And so it's a new roadway. There was a dirt road out there before. We are constructing 2 lanes for this phase 1. These are the change orders that have been executed to date, numbers 1 through 4, and the 5th one is the one that I'll be looking for approval. This is a water line connection. I should note that this is another project where we're partnering with El Paso County, but we are also partnering with El Paso Water. So whenever we're developing roadways, we want to make sure that other utilities are doing their work at the same time, so we don't have to come back later and tear up our roadway to add utilities. So this is one where the El Paso Water Utility has provided the design set and the funding, and so we construct it for them. We have built the water line under this stretch of roadway, and what this is a new connection to their main line at Pelicano. So this was not anticipated, but it makes a lot of sense to do it now. I will note, though, that although we've received the estimate, El Paso Water has not fully signed off on this one. So you'll see the action that I'm requesting of you all. Yeah, I think I've gone through all of this. Other than that, the total amount on the estimate is $296,202. Final scope and fee are currently being reviewed by El Paso Water. So the motion I'm asking for today is to approve a board resolution to authorize the executive director to execute change order number 5 with the contractor in an amount not to exceed $296,202, but this authority is subject to final review and approval by El Paso Water. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I would seek approval. Yes, sir.
Just a question. Not done in the original design, being added later for what? Serve a subdivision? Serve what? Why are they adding the connection?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
Good morning, board members. Ed Graffino with Atkins Realis, the GEC. So our John Hayes project, El Paso Water, we put them on as a joint bid, and they put their water line in. They designed it, and our contractor's installing. Well, there's no connection at all. We have one connection on the north side at John Hayes and Montwood. We're going to connect the new water line there. Now, we didn't have Pelicano intersection included in the plans, because that's not what El Paso Water was asking. So that was going to be done on other projects, either Pelicano or Darrington. But those projects are, well, falling behind. So El Paso Water is taking advantage of our contractor that's already out there installing water line and doing the intersection to connect to the El Paso water line out there. So we'll have two connections.
Who does it serve?
Oh, it serves the community there in regards to the Pelicano area. And then it's going to serve up on north, the Montwood neighborhood.
So it serves existing neighborhoods?
Yes, and there's nothing on John Hayes. There's no development. It's so those going to be future clients for El Paso Water once they start developing out there in the desert.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution at the request of the executive director.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, Raymond, did we need action on the other one, or is that just notification?
That's notification only.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so then we'll move on to item 8, which are staff reports. We have update on several projects. One is the countywide bus passenger shelters, B, Rodman Street shared use path, C, John Hayes Street extension phase 2, and D, Pelicano widening. You want to go through those?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll go through these. These were recently heard by the board, but I thought it might make a lot of sense to bring it forward with the new members to get you all up to date on certain projects that we are putting out for construction activities. So we'll go through this PowerPoint here. The first one is countywide bus shelters. This is a project that we are working with El Paso County on. Can we get that up on the screen? Thank you. All right. So another partnership, and these will all be added to your backup. Normally the backup is provided over the weekend. These were late additions, so I apologize for that. That is not the normal process. But this is a partnership that we have with El Paso County. We're planning on letting this one here shortly. We're using TxDOT grant funds through the county to complete this project. And we've used one of our IDC, sorry, let me back up. So we have a program that we refer to as the IDC Indefinite Deliverables Contracts, and that's where we engage a number of engineers to handle the design activities for us. So we use our engineering, our IDC program to complete the design for this one, and we're using Atkins Realis, which is one of our general engineering consultant teams, to do the oversight. And so you'll hear that a lot. Again, this is part of your backup, so I won't spend too much time on it, but these are the locations for the planned bus shelters for El Paso County's program. And here's some additional detail you can review. There are 3 types of bus shelters that we're adding. That category 1 is the most intensive. That's with a concrete platform, sidewalk leading to and from. It actually has a shelter with solar-powered lighting, bench, trash receptacle, bicycle rack, and a bus stop sign. So we're looking to construct 22 of those. The next category is a little bit lesser than that. It does not actually include the shelter, but it does have the platform, sidewalks, bench, and bus stop. 34 is the number we're looking at for developing those. And then lastly, the category 3, which is essentially just a bus stop sign and sidewalks when applicable. So 53 of those. So over 100 new bus stops for the county's system, which prior to this is a hail type system. So you raise your arm, ask the bus to pull over, and hop on board. They are going to, they have now looking to formalize their approach, and this is the beginning steps for that. So I think I've spoken to the county. They are the ultimate owner. We are doing the design, and we'll handle the construction for them. This is the timeline that we're looking at. The first advertisement was done in March, second also in March, and we're hoping to open bids on the 24th, and we'd be back to you all hopefully in May for award. If that all works out, then we could move to construction in June. We're looking at 10 months to complete, so that would put us in spring of 2026 for completion of this project. And so that's all I have. I am going to run through it very quickly. However, we do have our other former board member, so I think, Ms. Wilson, if you're okay with it, I'd like to go back to that item.
Sure.
Okay.
So this would be item 2, recognition of former board member Laura M. Enriquez.
All right, thank you again for taking this time, Ms. Enriquez. We wanted to thank you for your work with us. Ms. Enriquez was appointed back in 2022. She's been an active member of the Finance Committee and has always been supportive of our activities and been really helpful in terms of the litigation that's ongoing and providing some legal support as we navigate our way through that. So I wanted to thank you for that specifically, but also we have a little something for you to thank you for your time with us. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. It was a privilege serving with such very incredible men and women on this committee. Thank you all so much. And Robert and Raymond, y'all do a great job.
Thank you, Lauren. Good luck with
Thank
your
you.
new position. So Raymond, are there other updates, or where are we at on the updates?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a couple more. The next one is Rodman, which is item 8B. And again, I'll go through these pretty quickly. We do have a PowerPoint that I'll run through. Okay, this is a shared use path that we are developing in partnership with Horizon City. Let's skip through all of that. So this is a partnership with Horizon City where we're using TxDOT funding as well. Same idea, we're using an IDC firm to do the design, and we're using HNTB as our other general engineering consultant team to do the oversight of construction activities. This is the project location, so you see there in red, that's the actual shared use path. In green, right below it, is Horizon Boulevard, which there's an existing shared, existing trail along Horizon Boulevard. So this will tie the existing trail up to a park on the on the top side of that red line. So really interesting project, very happy to be a part of it as well. So we've talked about the roles. This is the timeline. Advertisements have been posted. We're looking to open in late April, and then we hope to be before you in May for award. So we could start this one in September. We're looking at about a 4-month construction timeline that would put us in December of 2025 for completion. So that's all I have for you on this one. And again, I'm burning through these pretty quickly, so stop me along the way if you'd like to discuss any of them. John Hayes, we touched on earlier. So I'll skip through some of this. This is that section that I was telling you about that we're currently under construction for under phase 1, where we're adding 2 lanes from Pelicano up to Montwood. We also have that water component that we touched on. Phase 2 then widens the 2 lanes to a 6 lane. And the reason we had to do it in two different phases was a funding issue. The MPO only had available amounts necessary for phase 1, so we actually had to split the design into 2 distinct phases. So we're coming in right behind phase 1 with phase 2. Phase 1 should be complete construction-wise middle of this year, June-ish, I would say. And then we'll be right behind it with phase 2 to widen it. We have some proposed dates there in terms of advertisements. We have received federal approvals, so we'll be advertising here in the next couple of weeks, and then hope to open bids in May and be back to you all for board action in July. So this one's a little bit bigger. August of 2025 is when we could start, take about 12 months, and puts us into summer of 2026. So that's what I have for you on this one. Again, this will all be added to your backup folder. So that takes us to Pelicano. Pelicano is a very different project, so we're going to treat this a little bit differently as well. We are currently in active litigation for this one. And so, but I felt was really important to give a briefing to the board on this one. And I think we might want to spend some time with each of the new members as well, going into a little more detail in terms of the litigation that has happened to date and some of those things as well. We have an attorney that can brief you all as well if you're interested in the litigation details. Pelicano project is also a partnership with El Paso County, and it runs, as you see there, from Loop 375 on the this is on the far east side from Loop 375, heading east out to Darrington Road, which is also known as John Hayes, which we just spoke about. And again, this will be included in your backup so you can see everything that we're doing there. It's a large roadway, roughly 3 miles, 6-lane divided roadway with raised medians, concrete pavement, sidewalk landscaping, and everything that you would expect of a roadway of this size. I'm going to break out the partners that are involved in this one, the consultants and contractors that we're utilizing, and the construction status. And then after that, I'm going to go into a timeline that outlines where we've been on this particular project. As I mentioned, we are in active litigation, so the information that you're seeing here is pulled directly from bankruptcy and court filings. So nothing in here, everything in here, I should say, has already been publicly released. The partners on this one, this is an El Paso County project. They are technically the owner, and they are providing the local funds and guidance in the development of the project. El Paso Water is also involved, much like we talked about on John Hayes. They have provided the design and the funding for the water improvements that are going in under the roadway. And TxDOT is involved because whenever there's a federal project utilizing federal funds, TxDOT is the delegated authority down from the Fed. So our contract to receive federal funding is actually with TxDOT. So they do the oversight, and they manage, and this is important, they manage and control the federal component of the financing for this particular project. On the design side, we used one of our IDC firms as well. In this case, it was the local engineering firm known as CEA Engineering Group. Construction management is being provided by Atkins Realis as part of our GEC team, and the construction contractor that we selected for this one was JAR Construction, Inc. The original contract value was $21.6 million. We had approved change orders in just over $500,000, so the total project cost is just over $22 million. However, the construction stalled out roughly at 50%. So 50% completion of the construction activities and roughly 50% completion of the $22 million that's available for the project. So here's the timeline, and again, this comes from publicly filed filings within the bankruptcy court. In March of 2020, we contracted with JAR Construction. The revised completion date, meaning when the contractor was supposed to be complete, including the added time and added dates based on change orders, was July of 2022. As I noted, JAR had completed about half of the project, and half of the funds are utilized. By December of 2022, the RMA defaulted JAR, and the intent of that action is to remove JAR from the project, and then we also asserted a claim against the performance bond. And what I mean by that is when a public entity like ours executes a construction contract with a contractor, we require a performance bond. The intent of that is if the contractor is not able to complete the project, the surety company, which owns and issues the performance bond, is supposed to step into the shoes of the contractor and complete the project. So that was an important step in December 22 where we defaulted JAR and asserted a claim against the performance bond with the surety. So at that point, the surety was supposed to step in and begin the work. And we initially had some conversations with the surety, but as you'll see, things got complicated pretty quickly. In January, the following month, JAR asserted a claim for wrongful default, arguing that the default that we issued was improper. And that's important because the surety has been relying on that claim to say if the default was improper, then the surety has no liability for this work and should not commence any work. So the assertion of that claim has derailed any restart of the work by the surety company. In March of 2023, JAR then filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and that's the type of bankruptcy which is a reorganization style, meaning JAR was intending to remain in operation. They were going to reorganize their finances and try to keep in operation. However, by September of 2023, the bankruptcy judge converted the bankruptcy to a Chapter 7, which is essentially liquidation. The bankruptcy judge essentially said this entity, JAR, is no longer in operation and converted it to a Chapter 7. In those instances, the bankruptcy judge then assigns a trustee who takes control over the assets and the liabilities of the former entity, in this case JAR. So a trustee came on board in September, right after September of 2023. It took that individual a little while to get up to speed, so we lost some time there. By December of 2023, the trustee who had taken over the assets and liability of JAR then asserted the claims that JAR had previously made. So that's a claim in the amount of roughly $26 million and reasserted the wrongful default claim. So again, that wrongful default claim is what has stalled out the surety, and that's a really key point to remember. By late 2023, the original bankruptcy judge, Chris Mott, who was actually from El Paso, retired. And that further delayed the progress of our case. A new judge came on board, Judge Bradley, and was working to get up to speed in late 2023. By January 2024, we recognized that we were not making the progress that we had desired. So in January of 24, we filed a declaratory judgment action within the bankruptcy court, asking the judge for a ruling on a very specific question. And that was the default proper? If it was, and we get a ruling from the judge that it was, then we can then go back to the surety and require them to restart work. So that was in January 2024. That judge, the current judge, has broken up this case into several pieces. And we've had multiple trials on those various pieces. The last of them, outside of the claim, so as I mentioned, we've got $26 million in claims against us currently pending. We have certainly claims against JAR and subsequently the trustee as well. So those claims have been put aside, and we'll deal with those next. Outside of that, the mini trials have dealt with most of the issues. In fact, the last trial we had was in January of this year, and that is to answer the question of the default. So that happened in January. We had another status conference hearing with the judge 2 weeks back, and he confirmed that he would get us a ruling before the end of April, so before the end of this month. So that is in a nutshell where we are. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more to it, but these are the fine points that have been included in publicly filed documents, so that's what I'm comfortable sharing with you all. We do have an attorney if you all are interested in going into executive session. Otherwise, Ms. Wilson, we do, as we noted before, we do have a member of the public that has signed up to speak. But I'm happy to answer any questions from the board, or if you'd like, Ms. Wilson, we can take comments from the public.
Are there any questions from the board at this point? I do think it would be worthwhile for the new board members to maybe have a special session with you and Brian so they can go into more detail.
Certainly. I'll send out an
Either
email.
as a small group or one-on-one, whatever is more convenient for folks. Before we do ask Mr. Job to come to the podium, can you also talk about what we've been trying to do with the surety in the meantime and TxDOT to use the existing monies and where that's at?
Yes, ma'am. It's a good point. So as I mentioned, we have a little over $10 million in project funds that are available for the completion of this project. However, because we issued the default, TxDOT's position has been, and as a reminder, TxDOT is a delegated authority from the Fed, so we can't use any of those funds without their approval. TxDOT has said that because we have issued the default, those funds are controlled by the surety. So the RMA cannot do anything with it. Now, the reason I say it that way is that we have tried to access those funds to restart construction for a piece of the work, what we're referring to as the interim fix, where we would reconstruct or actually construct the missing piece from Loop 375 over to Air Coupe, roughly half of the 3 miles. That would alleviate the majority of the congestion that the public is running into in terms of the school that's there, the residences that are there, and the majority of the businesses. Now, certainly it would not alleviate any of the congestion further east, but it would take care of quite a lot of the problems that we've got right now. In either event, TxDOT said the RMA cannot access those. Those are controlled by the surety, and that we had to force the surety to do something. So at that time, we kept trying to get the surety to execute a takeover agreement, arguing that the default was proper and moving forward. As I mentioned, the surety has taken a position that until the wrongful default claim is resolved, they will not advance this. However, we were able to reach out to the Vice President of Claims at the surety company, spoken with them on several occasions, and pitched to them, asked them if they would pursue the interim fix. Would they, utilizing the currently available project funds, roughly $10 million, would they complete this interim fix? They've agreed in concept to do that. However, we've run into another issue with TxDOT in that the bids that have come in for that interim fix are, of course, higher than the bids that were approved by TxDOT under the original construction contract with JAR, right? So there's a gap there. And that's what the surety ultimately will be responsible for. And that's why we get performance bonds, so that the surety company has to make us whole without regard to whether there's a gap or not. In either event, there is a gap between the cost it would take to complete the interim fix now versus what it would have cost under the original bid line items. And TxDOT is saying we cannot utilize any of the project funds to cover that gap. So that's what we've run into now. We have been speaking with TxDOT. We've tried a couple of different workarounds. In fact, most recently on Friday, this past Friday, I met with county attorneys, with TxDOT attorneys, with TxDOT local government division managers, construction division managers inside El Paso and through Austin. And so we've escalated this up to higher levels of TxDOT to see if we can't the district engineer was there, Mr. Trevino. So we've escalated this up to see if we can't get some assistance from them or guidance from them in terms of how we can restart the work. This is, as you saw in the timeline, this has been a stalled project for many, many years. It's causing a lot of problems with the developers, with the residents, with the schools, with business owners. It is a significant problem. And so this is one of the fixes that we're trying to implement. So that's where we are, Ms. Wilson. I don't know if you had additional questions related to that.
No, that's helpful, thank you. So go ahead and take public comment, please, and then we can talk after that.
We do have a question from one of our board members, Mr. McElroy.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you mentioned the gap. The project that when it went out was super low at the time. I imagine the gap is only going to get bigger by the time all of this. Is the surety on the hook for whatever that gap becomes?
That is our position, yes, sir. In fact, part of our arguments in the early days with the surety was that exact argument. The longer we wait, the longer we stall this project out, the more expensive it's going to be in the end. But our position is that absolutely that's why we have a performance bond. The surety is on the hook for completing this project. They're only going to receive the amount in the construction contract, and any gap there is their responsibility.
I have a question, too.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the costs that are being incurred? Is the surety at the end on the hook for that, too?
That is also our position there. It's very clear within the performance bond that the RMA has, I should say it this way, the RMA has very few actionable items that we can pursue in this interim phase where we're waiting for the surety to take over the project. One of those is health and safety. So we have, when the project stalled out, the traffic control devices were falling apart, they were missing, they were not reflective, all of those sorts of things that you would expect. So we have replaced all of the traffic control devices. And so those expenses we are keeping a tab on. We're keeping tabs on every dollar that we spent on this project since the default. And that will be part of the negotiation with the surety company. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So if there are no additional questions, I'd ask Mr. Job to come forward with public comment.
Thank you. My name is Stanley Job with Building Materials. And first of all, I want to welcome.
His mic's not on for me.
Okay, got it. Can you hear now?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I can.
Good. All right, so, but anyway, but I want to welcome the new board, and this Pelicano issue is a very significant issue. If you go back to the inception of the RMA, we have a lot of our residents in El Paso. I think Matthew was at the city at the time, when the RMA was brought on. Steve Ortega had a big role in it. Mayor Cook, Joyce, you had a big role in it when, even before it was created in 2007. I know Debbie Castron did a lot of lobbying for it at the time. Elliot Shapley actually got the law changed so the city could be part of the RMA. So the RMA is near and dear to my heart. I've been involved in the RMA effort since about 2005, I think. So we appreciate the RMA, and I will say that Raymond and the management of the RMA have been very responsive in any question that I've asked about what's going on with the Pelicano project. But and I won't go into all the history that you just heard, but basically it's 5 years, guys. It's 5 years since this job, what was advertised actually in October of 19, it was bid in March of 20. Now we're sitting here in April of 25. So that's 5 years that this project has been going on. It's a 3-mile project. Of the 3 miles, we have a mile of it. So we are 1/3. Our frontage is 1/3 of the Pelicano Road. So it's been a tremendous problem for us, in so much that we've spent in excess of $1 million to build our own private road up to Rich Beam. If you're familiar with the way things go there, on the west side of our section, that's actually Rich Beam that goes up through some private land, but it connects into Rich Beam where the Foster Schwartz developments are. And on the right side is John Hayes, which is still not finished. And I'm not talking about John Hayes, but basically we've had to build our own private access to Rich Beam. We have several hundred people that report to that facility every day. We have several hundred pieces of equipment. It's a huge impact to us. So what I just want to say, and without taking too much of your time, is I would encourage you. I think I heard Joyce say, y'all perhaps need a workshop with the new board members. I would highly encourage that, because this project is something that you have got to, once you can get, the bankruptcy court to finally make a ruling, you need to jump on this and get it done, because we're talking about another year or two just to finish the project. Now you're only talking about doing up to Sunfire, right, Edgar? Or Sun, what is it, Sun what? I don't know of all people.
Air Coop.
Yeah, Air Coop. Air Coop. I had the wrong street. But so that's only half of the job. Now, and then plus the fact, and the RMA and the county have both said, we had certain conditions when we gave the right-of-way, several rights-of-way that we gave to make this project work. There's supposed to have been a pond constructed on us. It's half constructed right now. We were supposed to get some rock walls and some other things built. The county and the RMA, Raymond has said, we're going to make sure and do that, even though the first half initially may only be the Air Coop. But so I would just encourage you to take this. I know you take it seriously, but this honestly is impacting businesses, not only to the hundreds of thousands, to the millions. It's a lot of money. Not counting, like Raymond said, the schools, the EMS services, so on and so on and so on. I mean, something's got to happen. So anyway, that's my deal, and I welcome y'all to the board, and we appreciate what the RMA does, and we appreciate servicing the projects that the RMA does. So thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. If I could just interject, I mean, we have been really pressuring the court to give us a finding, short of becoming antagonistic, which is what we really want to avoid, I guess, at this point. I've never seen anything. I mean, bankruptcies tend to drag on. Judge Mott did a really good job expediting that and dealing with it. I mean, it was a stroke of bad luck that we weren't able to conclude it under his tenure, but it is what it is. And the only thing I can say is I think, Brian, you just need to stay on the court and keep pressing for a decision, emphasizing exactly what Mr. Job said, and then really being prepared to ramp up immediately once we get a ruling, particularly if it's a favorable one. Let's hope for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else on that, Raymond, or board members?
That's all I have for you all.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, that's helpful. And then, anyway, I would encourage, Raymond, you to get with each of the new board members and see if you can schedule a briefing with Brian, just to get some of the legal questions discussed and answered, which probably need to be done in a closed session.
Yes, ma'am. I'll work with Brian to establish some open days and times and make those available to the new board members. And the current board members as well, as a refresher in the event that you're interested.
Do we have any other need to go into executive session?
No, ma'am. And that concludes our items for this agenda.
All right. Okay, well, again, I want to welcome everyone. If you want to touch base with me prior to the next meeting, just to visit about things that have been going on recent past, aside from this one project, feel free to give me a call. I'll send you an email note with my phone contact and email contact. And I really do look forward to working with all of you. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Have a motion?
We had.
Do I have a second?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned at 10:08 a.m. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye.